Hey guys, hello, hello. Natalie Cutler-Welsh here from Go To Girl, and welcome to another episode of the Impact Entrepreneur Series. Today I'm talking to the fabulous Kathryn Curzon. Hey Kathryn.
Hi.
Amazing to have you here. Now, it's not every day that you get to meet a shark diver. So Kathryn actually has some interesting stories to tell, and today we're going to talk about what I like to call hashtag ocean love. So why falling in love with the ocean is so important now more than ever. So Kathryn, I would love it if you could kick things off, tell people a little bit about what you actually do and what brought you to this point of ocean love in your life.
Yes, certainly. I've always had a huge passion for the oceans. I think they are fundamental to our well-being. And I used to work as a shark dive guide in South Africa. So I was very fortunate I got to take people diving with great white sharks and witness them going from fear to fascination, which was just such a privilege. And then following on from that work, I actually created with my husband our own marine conservation organization. And we spent a year creating this awesome world tour, and we went around the world giving talks to adults and children all about connecting with the oceans, letting go of any fear to do with sharks and being in the ocean, and also the importance of sharks and why we all need them for healthy oceans. And now I'm a scuba diving and travel writer, and I also do conservation articles for magazines and try and encourage people, again, to get some ocean love going in their lives and realize why we all need healthy oceans.
Wow, that is a lot. That is a lot there. I definitely want to ask you about the sharks and how they help, for sure. That's part of it. I actually recently had a not encounter, but with baby sharks in Fiji. So I recently went on a cruise with my family. I think I was telling you that I purchased, it's right behind me actually, eco-friendly sun cream, because I think some people don't know that, there's certain sun creams that are better and worse for the coral, which I'm sure you can elaborate on. But there was this, we were snorkeling and they were literally baby sharks, like this big. And we were like, there they are. And the kids were snorkeling right in with the baby sharks. So that was pretty cool. Can you talk about, I guess, why are sharks so important?
Yeah, absolutely. For a start, there's about 500 different species of sharks, so far more than people actually realize are in the oceans. And the majority of them, they sit right at the top of the food chains. So to put it very simply, they manage the populations of other fish and other animals in the sea below them, making sure that you don't have an abundance of one species and nothing of a different species. So they make sure there's lots of diverse life in the oceans. If you start whipping sharks out of the ocean, you lose that because you find food chains start to collapse. And so, let's say a fishery that we rely upon, that can start to collapse because the sharks aren't there playing that caretaker role in the oceans. So if you eat fish, they're very important for that. And they also help maintain the health of oceans and ecosystems like coral reefs. So yeah, pretty amazing animals.
And how do they do that? How do they maintain the health of ecosystems?
In the same way that because they're balancing the numbers of fish and other animals that are there below them, it keeps everything in balance. Whereas if you've got, say, I'm going to just give an example, a species of ray that isn't being eaten anymore and it just booms and fills the ocean, then the fish life below it can die out because they're eating them all, and then the rays are going to die. So you very quickly end up with empty oceans. Whereas if you've got sharks sitting at the top, they will pick off some of the rays and they'll keep that population in control, which means the fish below them also get to flourish. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally makes sense. And it's probably something we all know. We all know about the system and the food chain and things like that. With the 500, did you say 500 species of sharks? Are they predators to each other or not really? They just live in different regions?
Yeah, some are. So certain times of the year, great white sharks, pick one that everybody knows. Yeah. Part of their year, they will eat things like sea lions. Other times of the year, they will eat smaller sharks. So yes, they do feed on each other. Well, some of them do.
Yeah. Okay. So I think it's interesting. I guess, do you find that you've got some people that are fascinated by the ocean and love it, and other people that are really scared of the ocean for whatever reason? Maybe something happened when they were little, whatever. Or maybe their swimming is not up to scratch. I recently, as I mentioned, was on this cruise ship, but what the unique thing about that is we actually left from Auckland. Like, I know you're in Wellington. We left from Auckland. So my husband drove us to the train. We took the train into the city. We got on a boat. And from there, we went to Fiji. So it was like 3 days at sea out in the open ocean, which was interesting and sometimes scary, meaning at night when we were in the bunk, you know, and it's a little bit rocky and you're thinking, we are just out here in the middle of nowhere. What kind of reactions have you seen from people in all the work you've done around their initial relationship with the ocean?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to include my own relationship with the ocean as well, and just throw out there that I used to have a chronic fear of breathing underwater, to the point of panic attacks. So I can definitely relate to people that have fears of the ocean, because it's not necessarily a natural environment for us. We are very used to being on land. So I have seen everything from just utter joy and peace at being in the oceans through to one beautiful client we had on the boat one day, and she was an older lady and she'd never been on a boat. She didn't know how to swim and she was frightened of sharks, but she was there with her family to support them because they wanted to see sharks. And although she didn't move off her perch on the boat, and I just stayed next to her and just encouraged her and taught her about the ocean, she got off the boat so happy just to have learned something new. So it can really be transformative if you're willing to just literally and figuratively put your toes in the water. But yeah, people cry, people scream with excitement through their snorkels, especially when it's sharks involved. They're such enigmatic animals and people either love or hate them. So yeah, it's pretty special.
Wait, actually, I'm going to, at some point, I'll dash off. I might get you to share a story or something or a tip. And I'll dash off and get this snorkel that we purchased that I hadn't seen this snorkel before, but I think, because some people do get scared, you know, the sound of your own snorkel and your own breathing underwater, but I'll grab this snorkel because it's quite interesting. Well, hey, we'll leave it at that. Do you have a tip for people if they are scared, but they want, I don't believe in people feeling like they should do something, but if they actually want to snorkel and they want to go and see either sharks or a coral reef or something, what is a tip that you've got for them to just be able to bring themselves down to calm and be able to go ahead and do that? While you share your tip, I'm going to go grab my snorkel. Okay?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I would say it's all about breathing. So if you can focus on taking nice, slow, deep breaths before you're going in the water, and then also while you're in the water, that's a really good way to keep any rising panic and anxiety down. And I certainly used visualizing being in the water and focusing on slow breathing to help me get over my fear. And also it's great for snorkeling, because when you're snorkeling, you want to be relaxed and moving slowly so you can enjoy what you're seeing. And the key way to do that is focus on your breathing. We all know that helps you feel calm, and the same applies to being in the water as well as on the land. It's all about the breath, I think.
Yeah. Well, I actually was with a friend who she really wanted to see the fish, but she was so scared. And so all she did is she just stayed really shallow, and she just had the mask. She didn't want to have the whole breathing thing. And so she literally, everyone knows, you know, a mask like this. She had a mask like this, and the fish were really close. So she didn't have to swim out with flippers or anything like that. But gosh, I got to say, wearing flippers, what a game changer. It's so amazing.
It's like being a seal.
All of a sudden, you're like an Olympic level swimmer because you got these flippers on.
Yes, yeah, that's true. And you know what? If you're actually really scared of being in the water but you want to see the fish, you can also wear snorkeling vests that are buoyant, or a life jacket, and just float. And then you don't have to do anything apart from just look in the water and treat it like regular swimming. You don't even need to move.
Yes, that is a good tip, because it is so magical. Okay, I'm going to show you guys the snorkel. At first, I saw a family with one, and I'm like, what is that? It looks like Snork, which is a cartoon character. But then we actually purchased one, and it was really cool. Oh my gosh, it's got water in it, so I just tipped it upside down. Okay, here we go. Have you seen this?
I have, yeah.
So it's got this strap, and like you put your face in it. And there you go. Can you hear me?
That's awesome.
So the idea with that is you don't have to worry about your snorkel tipping backwards or not being, or pushing on your ear. So the cool thing with this is my 8-year-old could wear it, and he just tightens the straps. And then my 10-year-old, my 12-year-old, and me, you know, we could all wear the same, we could all share the same one, which was really cool. And it just, and because it's got that full, it's almost like glass bottom boat on your face.
Yes, absolutely.
You have a lot of vision.
You do, and it also takes away, one of the things that some people snorkeling and diving find is if you get a little bit of water leaking in your mask and it sits around the bottom of your nose, it can make you panic and want to breathe in really deeply. Yeah. So those full face ones, they take that element out of it. So if you're nervous about being in the water, they can be really helpful for just taking those baby steps and getting you out there.
Nice. Okay, well, there you go, you guys. I don't know where you buy them, but we bought them on the cruise ship. But I'm sure you can get them.
You can get them online. Yeah, you can.
Awesome. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about the ocean and ocean love and why is it so important. I mean, we can talk about climate change. We can talk about, you know, what is the future looking like if we carry on. Can you give us some stats or some information around that?
Yes, certainly. So something that I think is key to everyone, we all need to breathe. We were just talking about breathing a minute ago. And the ocean produces half of all of the oxygen that we breathe. So every other breath you're taking has been produced by the by the ocean, which I think is astounding because a lot of people associate the air that we breathe is coming from the trees. And whilst they are important, the ocean has a huge role in producing our air, and we need it. We can't exist without it. So that's really the fundamental of it for me.
The trees normally do get most of the credit. That's true.
They do, and they should get some. I'm not going to take it all from the trees, but the ocean definitely gets half of it as far as I'm concerned. And also the ocean plays a very critical role in maintaining our climate. So it absorbs 25% of all of the carbon in the atmosphere. So anyone that's not really got much of a science background, climate change is occurring where we're seeing more changes in climate patterns such as warming, but not just warming. And that is due to increases in gases in the atmosphere like carbon dioxide. And the ocean is one of the ways in which that carbon dioxide is taken out of the atmosphere. It removes it to the deep ocean where it's removed permanently. If you lose that, then we're going to continue having problems with climate change. So we need healthy oceans to protect us from that.
All right, and healthy oceans. I think most people, I'll use myself as an example, you know, probably go, oh, okay, I think she's talking about, you know, plastics getting into the ocean, overfishing, obviously, things like that. But can you just add more to, I'm just getting the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So what does a healthy ocean look like is what we're saying.
Yeah.
A healthy ocean, it's diverse. So you're looking at lots of different fish life, plant life. You've got your corals, whales, dolphins, turtles, obviously sharks. I could go on. So by healthy oceans, I mean ones that are unaffected by our activities, essentially. So at the moment, we are pushing in a lot of runoff, so pollutants are going into the oceans, as well as plastics. That's one that gets a lot of media attention. And also our agricultural practices, land use, all of this is having impact on the ocean. So a healthy ocean is one where it's not contaminated with things like heavy metals and solvents and plastics. And it's much broader than that, but that gives you an overview of what we really should be aiming for. And we can achieve it. It's not too late.
So is part of that, I mean, this is interesting because I've got a master's of environmental education, but that was from many years ago and I didn't really study the oceans as such. But you know, I'm thinking, is it as big as, you know, the cars we drive because the petrol, because runoff, the milk we drink because of, you know, runoff again, or, you know, the cows and their effluent and the runoff into the water. Everything's just going into, and landfill, right? Leaching underground into the water. Is it just all basically human life?
Basically, yeah.
What can we do? I mean, I think a lot of people know they can do, there's lots we can do, obviously, but what are some things, maybe even 2 or 3 things that you think people can do that it does make a difference? It does collectively add up and we can have an impact? Because I think a lot of people go, oh, too hard basket, I'm only one person.
That's not true. One, if we all do something, then we can make a significant difference. And the brilliant thing is, all of these things that we can do at home easily. So one of the most important things you want to do, and I want to do, is reduce the amount of carbon I use. So when I say that, I'm talking about minimizing my plastics use, because to create plastics in the first place, that's going to involve the release of greenhouse gases, which are warming the climate and affecting the health of our oceans. So an obvious one we all know, and I'm going to get behind on this one, is minimizing your use of plastics. And I actually have a website that I wrote down for us in New Zealand, which, bear with me, I think is going to be helpful. So you can minimize your plastics by sort of taking your own packaging to stores, things like jam jars and containers that aren't plastic, and getting your bulk refills done that way.
Yeah.
But you can also shop online, and there are places now. Here we go. So Good4, GOODFOR, .co.nz. They are a New Zealand company who provide bulk pantry items, no plastics, and they're organic and no plastics in the packaging. So it's actually delivered with compostable packaging, and even the tape used to seal the parcels is compostable. So you can actually cut out your plastics relatively easy, and you can even do it online, which is great. So I think that's an important one.
That's awesome. And thank you for giving resources. I think that's helpful.
Yeah, you're welcome. I thought these would be useful, so I had a couple. Another one, we touched on this earlier, is Suncream. So whilst this one isn't as big an impact on the oceans as others, it is something that collectively we can all do easily. And I think even that boost in confidence to know you're making a difference is key. So Suncream, choose reef-safe sun creams. The theory behind it is that some sun creams contain chemicals that when you use them, they actually damage coral reefs and inhabitants of those reefs because they prevent them from growing and breeding correctly. So
I'll grab my sun cream.
Yep, you grab your one. While you do that, I'm going to just mention, well, if you've got Solimara, haven't you? So that's one of them.
So this one I got at the Go Green Expo, and we just so happened to be heading away on the cruise. So when she said it was coral friendly, I was like, yes, I'm your customer. So it says SPF 50, packed with pure natural goodness, suitable for 6 months plus, ideal for sensitive skin, and no animal testing, and coral reef safe. So yeah, there we go. That's the one that we used.
Perfect.
And if it makes your face white, she told us, put a little bit on, and then it's a pat, 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 pat. Don't like rub it all over.
Yeah, that's true. That's right. With the zinc-based ones, you want to pat it on, not rub it in. There's a couple of other New Zealand ones. Sol Zinc is one, and another one is Surf Mud, both of which have come recommended to me. I'm still trialing some other ones at the moment, so I haven't got to either of those, but they're supposed to be really good. And they're New Zealand companies, so that's always nice to support them.
Yes.
And another easy one is, so sustainable fishing is really important. One of the big problems we've got at the moment is commercial fisheries not only catch the fish they want to catch, but many, many other species of fish and marine mammals that get chucked back dead, which is very wasteful. And we're facing a situation when nearly a third of all global fisheries are at the point of collapse. So if we want to be sustained by seafood in the future, we need to actually be eating more sustainably. Forest and Bird have a best fish guide. So if you just go on Google or another search engine and put Forest and Bird best fish guide, that will pop up. And it's a really, really cool resource. You just put the fish in or the seafood you're going to eat, and it will tell you whether it's sustainably caught, marine life that it does or doesn't threaten, and whether it's okay to eat or not. So a really good little tool to use with children as well. It's quite interactive. So I think that's important. And if you really want to go for it, get yourself a meat-free night, or just start reducing your meat and dairy intake, because as an industry, that pumps out more carbon dioxide and methane as well into the atmosphere. So again, it's an easy way to help combat climate change. So all of this, you don't even need to leave your house to do. You can do all of that.
And what I love is you're delivering this with such a lovely smile, and it's so true, because it's easy for us to be like all doom and gloom and oh my gosh, but there's a lot we can do. And I don't really believe in coming from a place of guilt. I believe in coming from a place of opportunity.
No.
Like you've just presented, there's lots of little ways that we can just tweak our daily behavior and what I call empowered choices. So make empowered choice. Like if you're in the grocery store, do you get this fish or that fish? Quickly look it up on Forest and Bird, and off you go.
And congratulate yourself. And remember, it's a work in progress, you know? Absolutely. I'm completely with you on this. No guilt. It's a learning curve. We're all learning, but that's the key, is that we learn and we do something rather than just put our head in the sand. Because I fundamentally believe that most people want to make a difference. I really do. But I just think we're not necessarily given the tools to do so very easily, unless you spend your time researching. Which
and sometimes you're right, it's easier not to. But if we be prepared, like the other night, last night, me and the kids coming home from swimming, and they said, can we get Bamboo Kitchen, which is takeaways. Now I actually have a container in the car which has plastic stuff in it. Did I use it? No, I totally forgot about it. But it was just like, oh my gosh, I actually have the stuff in my car. The next time I do it will be to remember to take it in, because I think sometimes these takeaway places, I think some of them let you bring your own containers. But it's other things I wrote down, which everybody knows these, right? Having the reusable coffee cup, having the metal straws, and so you don't use the plastic ones, drink bottles, and then you mentioned about the refills. One of the things they did a little bit on the cruise ship, but not that much, is they tried not to give you too many straws. Now, we didn't get the drinks package, so we weren't sipping cocktails all day long. We had the odd mocktail, but some people were sipping cocktails all day long. So it's like, I kind of am scared to ask you this question. Are cruise ships okay for the ocean because people get educated about and appreciate the ocean, or are they actually quite bad for the ocean?
Well, I think like any industry, they can do better. I think the key is making a wise choice. I'm realistic. I mean, I work in the travel industry, and I don't expect people to not travel, but I think you can take steps to minimize your impact through your travel. Because on the one hand, things like cruise ships and also diving liveaboards and other types of ocean-going holidays, you're using carbon, and plastics are getting used to support what you're doing. But on the flip side, they can be very valuable educational tools. You've come back talking about your amazing encounter with the baby sharks, and that's probably going to stick with you.
Yes.
And without those, fewer people get to connect with the ocean, especially people that don't live by the sea. So I think it's about balance and ways in which you can help that. Like you said, take a refillable water bottle and take a straw with you. Make sure you use those. Look at carbon offsetting. If you book your flights with Air New Zealand, they have carbon offsetting. And if you look at the UN, have a very cool carbon offsetting program. And you can just Google that, where you can actually pick which community programs around the world you want to contribute to offset your carbon. So those steps alone can make a difference.
Yeah,
I don't think it's a perfect solution. I think it's a case of small steps all building up together, and companies need to make change. I know there are liveaboards around the world, diving ones, that this year are banning all plastics on their boats. So
I don't know that phrase. You've said it twice now. Did you say live board?
Oh, sorry, liveaboards. Yeah. Liverboard. So you went on a cruise. A diving liveaboard is essentially a cruise for divers. So you go out and you live on a boat for a week, 3 weeks, and you do multiple scuba dives a day. So it's basically a diving cruise. My bad, sorry.
No, that's cool. It's all good terminology. So I guess what we're saying is there's things we can do in our daily life, which is cool. And then there's also things we can do like the carbon offsetting. I know that I am actually a member of B1G1, which is buy one, give one. And the cool thing about that organization is they kind of make it easy for you as a business owner. You pick and choose what impact you want to make. And so you might choose that you want to help with, shark research, or you want to help, give food to people that don't have access, or clean water, or et cetera. So I think more and more, if there's ecological options, sometimes people go, and the phrase that I use in the work I do with businesses and marketing and branding is I say, tell them what to do and make it easy, right? From a branding perspective. Absolutely. But I think the same thing when it comes to being more eco in our daily lives. Some people are like, listen, I'm ready, willing, and able, but just tell me what to do and make it easy. So that's what I'm trying to do here, is give people tools and links and things to make it easy for them to make a difference. Because I agree. I think people want to.
They do, and it needs to be easy, and it needs to be sustainable. Otherwise, it doesn't become part of our routine and our habits. And I did the same thing. I wrote down for an article I did recently all of the different ways in which you can help protect the oceans and reduce the impacts of climate change. And they're all easy things from home. None of them involve putting on your superhero cape and single-handedly saving the ocean. It's small actions, but together we can fix this. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Can we get the link to that? That sounds like a great article. Is that something you published online?
Yes, I will do. I shall provide that and send it over.
Be in touch. That would be great. We'll add that in the comments. Now, speaking of putting on your cape, I can't help but look at you and listen to you thinking about Bear Grylls and thinking about, the work that you do. You're like this kind of woman version. What do you feel, is there something that you've seen in your research or, on an actual diving excursion that has really been a bit of a game changer for you?
Yes, my time with great white sharks. I've loved sharks since I was tiny. I don't know why, I just always have done. But like most people, I had a fairly healthy respect and a bit of a fear about getting in the water with great whites for the first time. And I spent a long time working with them day on day for a couple of years and did some research on them as well. And they are incredible. When you actually start to put aside your preconceptions and your fears and look at things how they really are, oh my goodness, you can apply this to any aspect of life for sure. Things change massively. And for me, being in the water with them, I got to realize just how intelligent they are. They all have different personalities. Some of them are really cheeky and playful. Some are shy, won't come anywhere near the boat. Some are pushy, some aren't. They're very, very interesting animals. And for me, it made me realize that it's just not just about us, that there is intelligent life all around us, and it's up to us to protect it, which we're not doing a good enough job of yet. So yeah, I'd say that.
And I love something you said earlier, is it sounds like that incident turned your fear into fascination.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They have bright blue eyes. What's not to love about sharks that have bright baby blue eyes? And everyone talks about them having
have blue eyes.
They're blue. They actually have bright blue eyes. Not only are they crucial for our oceans, there's nothing to fear. For sure, respect them like you would any predator, but don't let that stop you from enjoying the oceans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Those are some wise words. Okay, before we wrap things up, is there, because this is part of my Impact Entrepreneur series, is there a certain charity or organization that you want to shine the light on or do a shout out for?
There is Ghost Fishing New Zealand. So that's ghostfishing.co.nz. If you haven't heard of them, they are a fantastic organization in New Zealand, and they are quite literally clearing up our coastline and also coastlines overseas. So these guys go and clear up waste that has been dumped in the oceans and abandoned fishing gear, which is a real threat to marine life around the world that gets tangled up and dies in that gear. And yeah, they do an amazing job. They're so active, and I will actually have an article and an interview coming up with them as well in a magazine this year. Very impressed with them. And also, anyone that's interested in sharks and wants to find out more, if you have a look at friendsforsharks.com, that's my marine conservation organization that I run with my husband, and we do in-person and online talks for adults and children all about sharks.
Oh, that's super cool. Okay, I will put the links below to that. Now, if they want to get in touch with you, find out more, or maybe what I'm not sure if this is something you do, but if someone's going, well, listen, I want to travel. We love exploring the world, but we also are aware of the environment. Is that something you help people with? I don't know, put together an itinerary that is more carbon friendly, or is that something you have articles on, or?
Yeah, more, I was going to say more guidance. It's not something that I do per se, but absolutely contact me. I'm always happy to chat about oceans and travel. And there are tons of articles on my website, including conservation ones. And if you've got a question, just ask. It's always nice to actually help and connect with people.
Yay, because you and I connected on LinkedIn. How can people get in touch with you if they want to contact you directly?
The easiest way is my website. That's kathryncurzon.com. And I'm guessing you're going to put that in the comments rather than me spelling it out, just to keep it simple. So yeah, you can easily find me on there, or Friends for Sharks. Both of them have a contact form.
All right, awesome. I totally will do that. Hey, you guys, the other thing that I do, as you know, as the go-to girl, you may or may not know, it started out 7 years ago. I was the go-to girl because people would say, hey, Nat, do you know someone who ... And I would be like, yes, I do. Let me introduce you. And so I guess what I want to say is I want to pass that on to you guys. If anything you've heard today resonates and you go, oh my gosh, I want to connect Kathryn to so-and-so, or I want to connect Nat to so-and-so, then please, I invite you to go ahead and be a go-to girl or a go-to guy yourself and just get in touch, because that's what I think that is the key to like the oceans, happiness, health, is community and connection, and introducing people to each other who just need to meet each other for whatever collaboration or connection or synergy might happen. So I know for myself, I'm sitting here, I've written down 2 names already that I want to connect you with, Kathryn. But for you guys that are listening, we would love to know. Comment below. Let us know maybe one action you're going to take. Just love to inspire people.
That would be amazing.
Not out of guilt, remember, out of empowered choices. One action you're going to take in your life based on something you heard today. We would love to see that. And also, if you feel like you've got a connection for someone in your life, then definitely get in touch with us. This is what we want to do. We want to shine the light on these issues and make positive change. So Kathryn, before we wrap things up, anything else you want to add? Any final words for people?
Yeah, I do actually. Following on from listening to you just then, I would also add there is no stupid question. I know that a lot of people want to help but don't necessarily know how to speak up or are nervous about asking something that might seem obvious or stupid. I'm always happy to answer any questions, and I think asking is the key to growth and learning. So don't ever hesitate to ask me something ocean related. I'm always happy to help. So yeah, I think that's really important. And also just go out and see the ocean. And if you can't get to the ocean, go and stand at the bank of your nearest stream and river and just think about how it all connects. Just like we all connect to one another. It's all just one big blue planet. Go and show it some love.
Yeah, that's right. And I think we do get love. I know that when I did the ideal day activity, for me, going to the beach, and I'm lucky, I live actually a 7-minute drive from 3 different beaches. Going to the beach it's just something, I don't need to get in the water. I would just need to like look at the water. And there's something about the ocean. Like, it's not going to a pond, going to a lake, it's going to the beach and just hearing the waves and just being by the ocean. It is magical. And I feel like, I mean, I know I'm fortunate to be so close to it, but even if you're not able to be close to it that often, do get in front of it. And if you want to, get your face in it, because there is magic all around us. Thank you for joining us today, Kathryn.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Amazing. Thanks you guys for joining us. Comment below, and we look forward to seeing you on another episode of Impact Entrepreneurs.